Hey y'all, it's Mary Hyatt, and I am so excited you're here for this month's topic, which is all about body confidence. So, most people think you're either born with confidence or you're not. But the good news is, I am going to show you that that is simply not true. This month, we're going to explore what it's like to live confidently in your body, no matter your shape, your size, your age, your weight. It is going to be good. So, what do you say? Let's hop into it.
Welcome to the Living Fully Alive podcast with Mary Hyatt, here to help you find your authentic voice, learn how to love yourself, and embrace your life. And now, your host, life and mindset coach, body love advocate, and doTERRA Presidential Diamond, Mary Hyatt.
Hey y'all, it is Mary Hyatt, and I am so excited that we are diving into body confidence this month. I have just the most unbelievable lineup for you of guests. It's like, I don't know, it feels like Christmas for me because this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I feel like I've finally figured out the secret sauce on how to be confident. And it's something that I've struggled with for most of my life, especially I would say the past 2 decades. And just over the past 6 or 7 years, I've done a lot of work around making peace with my body. And I've been all shapes and sizes. I've been a size 20, I've been a size 16, a size 12, a size 10. I mean, I've just run the gamut. And as my body has aged and changed and shifted and ebbed and flowed, I've had to learn how to stand in my confidence no matter my shape or size or weight or any of that. And it's tricky because it's not something that we are taught. And yet, confidence is sort of like something that feels like is required for most of our life. Like our business, if you run your own business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a network marketer, even honestly, if you're working a typical corporate job, confidence is a big piece to aid in your success. It helps you stand up in front of other people. It helps you ask for people to pay for your services. And having that sense of confidence is really valuable. I think it's one of those things that instantly can make people feel calm, like especially in times of stress and you're kind of standing there in confidence. It's like, okay, I can relax. I can be at ease because she's got it together, you know? But when it comes to our body as women, this is a tricky topic because everything in our world teaches us the opposite, teaches us how to kind of on two ends of the spectrum. One, to be really ashamed of our bodies. So, for those of you that live maybe in a smaller body who are thin, there's a lot of skinny shaming, there's a lot of sexual shaming. And so we've sort of been given this message that when you're too pretty or you're too thin or you're too sexual, that you should be ashamed of your body, that that's bad or evil or sinful or um, prideful. And then on the other hand, we've got all the messaging from Shape Magazine and gossip columns and celebrities and the porn industry and the diet industry yelling at us that we're not good enough, that our bodies are gross, that they're disgusting. We need to hurry up and fix them. There's always that language, and y'all hear me talk about this a lot. There's always that language of our body being flawed, of being broken, that there is something inherently messed up about our body. And so in order to, and this is the lie that we feel like we have to buy into, in order for us to experience love or any of that, it's like we have to be a certain shape, a certain size, a certain weight before we can be confident. And to add to matters worse, to like put some fire on all this pressure that most of us feel, then you go in and you ask, like, anyone across the board will say that the sexiest thing in a woman is confidence. I remember after my divorce when I was newly single and I was like, okay, what is this like to be out on the the field again? Totally clueless. I remember asking some of my guy friends like, okay, well what's sexy? Like what do guys find attractive? Everyone said confidence. And then it felt like this elusive thing that I couldn't get to. Like, well, heck, how do I step into confidence? Like my understanding was that someone just had it or they didn't. Like I remember thinking about women who would walk into a bar or walk into an office space and they just oozed confidence. Like they just strutted in, like that thing where you're like, "Oh my god, like this woman is so magnetic and all the things." And then it would instantly turn into shame. Like, I don't know, whatever that is, I don't have it. Like that's what I felt like. Like whatever that type of confidence is, they must have had that since birth. They must have like literally come out with the ability to love themselves, to appreciate themselves. And the more that I have experienced life, the more I realize that that's absolutely not true. In fact, a lot of some of those women are not even fully confident. My boyfriend Bentley is a model and an actor. And in his industry, it's so interesting because I, for a long time, felt really insecure. Like, he's spending all day with these women who are beautiful, who are thin, who are like literally their job is because of their looks. And it was very interesting to find that some of those people are also very insecure. In fact, I had a woman on Instagram message me and she said, "Don't forget to talk about the skinny shaming that happens and the skinny just bullying that happens. That there is this, on the flip side, for people who live in a larger body, we just think, oh, if you're skinny, you must have it made, and everybody who's skinny is confident." And that's just not the case. So, this is a conversation really for every body. But if I think about confidence here for a second, to me, confidence is knowing that even in my imperfection, with all of my flaws, my cellulite, the rolls on my tummy, my saggy breasts, acne on my face, whatever it could be, right? That I am still worthy of love. And I walk in the knowledge that I am lovable. And that to me instills confidence. Confidence to me is a soul thing, not an ego thing. Because if I go to my ego, which is all looking for external validation, wanting to know that it's enough, looking for validation, I will always lose. I could never win the ego game of confidence because the rules are always changing. The finish line is always changing depending on what decade we're in and all the things. The standards for beauty change. So if my ego is the one responsible for my confidence, it's not going to happen. But if I put my soul in charge of my confidence, then all of a sudden it's a completely different story. That conversation is like, no matter what I look like, no matter how I age, how my body changes, I am loved. Confidence is knowing that my lovability, my worthiness is not dependent on what anyone else thinks of me. Like it's not open for negotiation. It is this deep knowing that our lovability is not on the line. That is a sense of safety and security when I don't have to try to figure out how to make myself lovable in order to be confident. And that it is safe for me, it's okay for me to show up right now wherever I find myself at this specific weight. Like, sure, who wouldn't love to lose like 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever? Like, of course, we're human. And we've been fed a lot of messages about worth equaling our weight, even for those in smaller bodies. I mean, the reality is, though, is that it will never be enough. And so for me, when I shift into that ego, that's when love is conditional. So, in order for me to really feel confident, I've got to come from an unconditional soul mind, not my conditional ego mind. And when we introduce shame into the equation, something is wrong with me. I literally like shame is I am not good enough. Something is inherently wrong with me that makes me unlovable. When we have that, and all of a sudden we're looking at our bodies and we're going, oh my God, I'm gross, I'm disgusting, I'm ugly, then everything rides on how our body performs. Literally, you could weigh yourself every day. And I don't know if any of you guys do this. I certainly have lived in this land at times in my life where I would like get on the scale and it would be like, d- based on the weight that's on that scale, I'm either going to step in confidence or step in shame. And it was all riding on this ego, it was all riding on this external thing, validating my sense of self worth. Man, that is like a game that I never ever want to play again. I really want to like anchor this into and help you seat this into your mind that that is a losing battle that literally you cannot win. And I feel like I've repeated that over and over again because I really want you to hear me when I say that. But when we can meet ourselves confidently and feel really certain that we are unconditionally loved. And this is obviously like a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think that having this conversation, to me at least, is the invitation that there is nothing that we can do to lose our lovability, and there is nothing that we can do to earn it. There is nothing we can do to earn it. And when we operate from that place, it's like, oh my God, watch out. Everything opens up. Like we show up in our lives so confidently. And to me, confidence is a state of being, it's not a shape or size. Confidence is a stance, an essence, an energy, not a physical representation of any one particular thing. Confidence starts in our mind. And it really is not in our body. So if we're going to have body confidence, it's going to be a mental conversation, not changing our body to fit any particular thing. And then we'll be confident. So I think this is really exciting because what I love about confidence is it's not that you have it or you don't. And I want to like, you know, give you some like little pause, flashing light kind of moment to say, listen up, listen up. Because the big secret to me that we don't talk about with confidence is that you can learn it. If you are someone right now who does not feel confident in their body, and up until this point has had a lot of shame around their body or disgust or anger or resentment, that you can actually learn a new way. You can learn a different way of relating to your body. And that ultimately you can learn, born out of that soul conversation, born out of unconditional loving, you can learn confidence. So I'll teach you kind of my process. But first, I want to read this quote from Barry Davenport. It says, low self confidence isn't a life sentence. Self confidence can be learned, practiced, and mastered just like any skill, at any other skill. Once you master it, everything in your life will change for the better. So, that to me is the vision and the hope of taking a month to look at body confidence, is that it's a skill like anything else. It's just an illusion that you thought you haven't had it. Confidence is a skill. It is something that we can learn. We can cultivate it. And if you don't have it now, it doesn't mean that that's forever. And that's a lie. Like it's not that you're just not a confident person. Even if maybe that's been part of your mantra as your identity, like maybe you've even caught yourself saying, or maybe you'll start to catch yourself saying like this now that we're bringing awareness to it. But that limiting belief that you might say, I'm not a confident person. Like, I don't really have confidence. Like, whatever, fill in the blank, how you would kind of see yourself as not somebody who's confident. That's just something that you've put on yourself that isn't true. It's just like an insecurity you have, but it doesn't mean that that can shift and change. So even in that language, I would immediately start changing it to I'm learning how to become confident. From I am not a confident person, that being a sentence, that being like a part of your identity that you've put on yourself that's unmutable, unchangeable, and let's just call that BS because that's not true. To you, maybe you don't jump all the way to I am confident or I feel confident in my body, but you can certainly go from I'm not confident to I am learning how to be confident in my skin. I am learning how to be confident in my body. And so I want you to think about people in your life who you've known, or even celebrities or whomever out there in the public eye that you kind of would deem as somebody who thinks they're confident, somebody who walks with confidence, somebody who has accepted their body. Now, what's so beautiful is on the podcast this month, I'm bringing on people who do not fit the stereotypical quote unquote beautiful body, who are all very confident, who have learned confidence. So you might even think about somebody who's in a larger body who is really confident and you're like, "Oh my god, I love that she like oozes that confidence." I remember growing up there was this woman who was a friend of my sister's, and she was probably like in the 300-pound range. And this is before body positivity was a thing. This is before we had space to have conversations about health at any size. And I remember looking at her, and she got a lot of judgment. And she was so embodied. She was like body positive before body positive was a thing. She wore tank tops, she wore shorts, she let it all show. She was so in her body, in her skin, and loved it, like flaunted it. And it made me, I remember thinking, it like made me uncomfortable because I was not like that in my own body. And here I am looking at this woman who, by all like at the time, like standard, whatever, was fat and unhealthy. And she was vibrant. She was full of life. She was in her body. And it was really beautiful because I think that started this journey that I've been on of really appreciating all shapes and sizes, and that isn't a prerequisite for your confidence. And so she's a great picture for me to go in and go, wow, there are people who live in different bodies who are confident. And honestly, there are people who are really, really thin who are so not confident, who are incredibly insecure. And so I think it's just helpful to kind of look at the people in your life as a way to see that it's not dependent on size or shape or weight. And so even for me, when we have in our mind that it has to be this one thing, we've got to begin to shift that conversation and start finding other people that have figured it out. Like to me, anytime I'm going, okay, well, how do I do something? In this case, how do I be more body confident? I want to go to the people who are body confident, who are willing to show up and be seen, who are willing to go to the beach and be in a bathing suit and spend time with their kids playing and getting in the water rather than dreading the whole several weeks leading up to a beach trip. You know, I want to go find those women who are willing to practice yoga, who are willing to get up on stage and speak, who are so confident regardless of what they look like. And that to me is really encouraging and helps to instill this new belief that I can learn how to do this. So I want to share with you a 5-step process on how to feel more confident. So 5-step process to feeling confident. The first step, and this is really important. Feel free to grab a pen, write this down. Y'all know I love like teaching. So I'm always like, take your notes, get your journal out. But the first is define confidence. We have to redefine what it means to be confident. What does it mean to you? Because confidence really is something that is, because it's me and my soul, unique to me. What does it look like? What does it feel like? So for me, when I'm standing in my confidence, when I can walk in a room and just feel that sense of lovability, worthiness, value, it's like I feel so smart. I feel so secure, so confident, so sexy. And so for you, take time to define confidence because you want to be able to know how to hit that mark. I'm confident when this happens. I'm confident when I think this. I'm confident when I experience this emotion, when I feel this way. How can you define confidence for yourself? That's the first step. We got to know what it is so that we can hit it. The second step is to kind of like I was speaking about before, to find a role model. This is so great. And we're blessed as much as I harp on social media. This is like the one positive to me is that we have so many examples of more women stepping up in their confidence, being willing to own their own businesses, to be shot like a photo shoot in their real bodies. You know, there are more women who are showing up on screen without makeup, with all of their bumps and bruises and cellulite and rolls. And they're showing that. Like, I love following accounts on social media that are women who are standing in their worthiness. So find an image, and this is kind of like we talk about archetypes a lot. When we talked about femininity, we got into this, but find almost like your avatar, your archetype, your role model of what that would look like. Like create that visual for yourself of somebody that just is like standing in their power. And it might just be like some rando person that you find on Pinterest that's just like owning it. You know what I mean? Like just like totally owning it. And let that be something that your brain can use as a further kind of anchor into this idea of what it might feel like for you. We almost have to see it first and then we can create it. We need something for our mind to work from. And one of the things that I love to do in finding a role model or an avatar or an archetype is I now, and I started this practice years ago, but I now start to notice people in my environment who are confident, like strangers. So if I'm at a coffee shop or I'm at a restaurant, even right now, when I know that a lot of people aren't doing those things because of COVID, it might just be on the walk, on a hike outside, and you see women who are confident. Start to notice them. How are they holding their body? What are they doing differently? I think this is so cool. When you start seeing women who are confident, take note, almost like you're in an experiment to see what are the elements that contribute to being confident. We have to see it before we can create it. The second step is to roll back. So we've got define confidence, find a role model. Third step is to roll back. Remember a time when you felt confident. Roll back the clock in your brain because there's a recipe for what got you into that state of confidence in your past. So for me, when I was starting this, because I hadn't really felt super confident in my adult body, especially when I was in a larger body and then when I had lost weight. I mean, I just have all this to this day, like all this extra skin and everything is saggy. And I, lift weights and work out and am very healthy. And yet, my body isn't tight or toned necessarily. And so I had to go back to times when I was in high school when I just felt like $1,000,000 and I felt sexy and I felt sassy and I was like, like I'd go after the boys or whatever. And it might be a particular time in your life. It might be a moment in time, like one day, one moment, 1 second when you just felt confident. And ask yourself, what is my recipe? How did I get there? And for me, like when I go back to high school, here's what I did. I had to like really dissect this for myself. I, I listened to music. Like I would put on music, really fun music when I would get ready to go out, with my friends at night or whatever. And I would play music and that would get me into a different state. Physiologically, my body started to change. It was like my stance was different. My body language was different because this music got me into a headspace that shifted my energy from insecurity to boss babe, powerhouse, sex kitten, whatever you want to call it. I was just like, feeling myself. I'd put on all kinds of fun music. I do this to this day. Anytime I go out, even if it's with a girlfriend, I will put on music to get ready. And I've got my like specific playlists that conjure up that feeling of confidence for me. And all of a sudden, I'm literally walking taller. My shoulders are rolled down and back. My heart is lifted. Like everything in my body is in a different state. So I have to roll back and find those moments when I felt confident before so that I can then go ahead and recreate them now in my present. So that's the third step. The fourth step is to act as if. To act as if. Acting creates confidence. This is really interesting to get. It's not that you try something and then it's not that you're confident and then you step into confidence even more. You actually pretend to be confident and then it generates and creates confidence. It's almost like that pretending gets you into that state. Confident people walk a certain way, they talk a certain way. And honestly, in this case, it's a little bit of that like fake it till you make it, because you want to trick your mind into the fact that you're confident. You have to try it out before it becomes habitual, before it becomes natural, before it just becomes who you are as somebody who is confident. You got to practice being confident so that then you can become confident. This is sort of that, like, remember how we can learn it, the skill set piece. This is where the acting as if you were confident. So, for example, if you are shopping for clothes, and maybe you're not in a place where you're loving your body or whatever, I always ask myself this question: if I did feel confident, what would I choose to buy? What would I try on? If I did feel attractive, what would I pick off the shelf and bring into the dressing room? So that question, if I did feel confident, what would I wear? How would I stand? That beautiful question opens the door to experiment and play with practicing confidence. And William Jennings Bryan says that the way to develop self confidence is to do the thing you fear and then get a record of successful experiences behind you. So sometimes for me, like I have to choose in fear to love my body or to show up and wear the bathing suit, even though I'm afraid to wear the bathing suit, and realize like it's not going to kill me. And I have control over what I'm telling myself in that process. If I'm terrified to wear, I'm going to go to Mexico here in a few weeks. If I'm terrified to wear a bathing suit, I'm going to wear the bathing suit and I'm going to tell myself while I'm wearing it 100 times if I need to, you're worthy of wearing this bathing suit. Not because your body is perfect, but because you have a body and because there's sun and you want to get some sun and you want to just enjoy the beach. It's like doing that thing that we fear. Then we can go, I can do it. It builds confidence that we're not going to die and that we're going to be okay. And that our confidence isn't dependent on our external environment. And then lastly, the fifth step is to celebrate. I love this one. We do not celebrate enough, y'all. After you have tried to act as if, like you just decide to like strut a little bit more. This happened to me last Valentine's Day, which is appropriate for the February content. I really wanted to like get some lingerie, okay, for Valentine's Day for me and Bentley. And I wasn't loving my body at the time. Like I'd gained some weight or whatever, but I was like, I want to like do this for me. I kind of almost didn't even care if he loved it or enjoyed it. It was like, I want to practice what it's like to be confident wearing lingerie because that's not something I've always felt great with. And so I went out, bought a little slip dress, and I can just remember this so vividly. I like walked from the hallway to where he was, and it was awkward, y'all. Like I was like totally faking it till I make it, totally like pretending like that I felt like just unbelievably bombshell sexy. And I mean, this was like, I mean, just my sweet body as it was, totally imperfect. And yet in that awkwardness, and it might even feel silly, I had to pause and like tell myself mentally, like, go girl, go. Like celebrate the fact that I was willing to show up and be seen in this body. Celebrating my bravery, celebrating my willingness to be seen. And that in that moment, when we celebrate, when we show up and choose love for our bodies over disgust, when we choose our soul's way of seeing our lovability over our egos, when we can tap into that unconditional loving versus conditional loving, that is the moment that confidence is created. It's like reaffirming and validating, like, yes, yes, yes. Your brain is like, I want more of this. And so even if you feel awkward, you can celebrate in secret, in your mind, like a little kid, like, go, girl, go, you got this. Yes. And that is you creating confidence when it's not innate. So, my encouragement to you when you practice these 5 steps: define confidence, find a role model, roll back to discover when you felt confident and kind of like get clear on the recipe, act as if. And then lastly, to celebrate. When we practice this type of confidence and you move forward when you're scared, when you've had only a body bully as a way to relate to your body, it's like my encouragement is to flex this muscle, practice this, build it. Confidence is created. And when you realize that you're only really rejected if you reject yourself, all of a sudden that's really freeing. Like, what if you could meet yourself and say, you are so worthy of being seen? You are so lovable just as you are. Stand up, girl. Stand up. Be proud. Step in to this space of lovability. Rolling the shoulders back, taking your time to feel that palpable energy of power, of strength, of femininity. This is, to me, the moment when we walk into our confidence. It shifts so much when we practice this. And when we know, all right, my lovability is not on the line here. Confidence is so sexy to me because what confidence is it's the willingness to show up fully human and know that you are still loved. It's the willingness to be imperfect and know you cannot lose your lovability and you cannot earn it. Flaws and all, there is no such thing as perfection. So, no perfect body exists out there. Confidence is birthed out of letting yourself be you and stop trying to be someone else. Like, it is okay to be me. It's okay to be seen. It's okay to try. It's okay to fail. It's okay to attempt. Feel that power, your humanness, your lovability inside of yourself. Closing your eyes and really visualizing your confident self. Who am I when I'm confident? When I'm confident in my body, what does that create in my life? What does it shift in my life? What do I say yes to? What do I pursue? How does it make your life better when you have body confidence? Start to visualize that. Start to see the benefit of cultivating the skill of learning how to be confident, celebrating those wins of when you do try it, when it's awkward and it's whatever. And it's like, oh, was confident for 5 seconds. And then I went back to hating myself. Or I was really confident until I saw someone else and it knocked me off my confidence. Great. It's okay. You're human. And then we invite ourselves back into practicing more confidence, just like anything. So, y'all, like I said, I'm really excited about the rest of this month. I have so many good guests. I've got Amy Porterfield. I have Natalie T. Oh, it's going to be so great. And I'm not even going to tell you any more than that because these conversations, I want you to tune in. I want you to invite your girlfriends into this because I tell you what, this will change your life when you step into more confidence in your body. All right, y'all. I'm going to sign off, but before I do, remember that the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. I'll see y'all next week. Bye. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you got some amazing nuggets to take home and start implementing into your life. And if you're looking for the show notes and links, head on over to maryhyatt.com/show. And if you loved it, why not bring your girlfriends along this journey of becoming fully alive with you? Just give a quick share of this episode to your social channels and enjoy those debriefing convos with your besties. Thanks again, and I can't wait to connect with you next week.